Welcome to Sinister Street, where we cover everything horror. My name's Kevin, and as usual, I am joined by MetalGhosty.
Hello.
And today, we have a very special movie to talk about.
Yes.
It is Killer Klowns from Outer Space,
What?
created in 1988 by the Kyoto brothers.
Yes.
So, I have to say, this is one of my favorite movies of all time. And I know that it's not necessarily the best movie, but I just love it. And in this video, I kind of want to give my reasons as to why I like it, and I hope you do as well.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I did enjoy it. It was the first time seeing it. Of course, before going into it, it was recommended to me by Kevin and your boy Slasher Pepper. And I have to say, before going into this movie, you have to be in a specific mindset. Like, you can't go into it expecting a fully serious movie, because it's not a serious movie, and the film knows
It's about
that.
clones from space.
Yes,
So-
exactly. Like, the name says it all, you know. And also, by saying the name, you've kind of like, you have the entire plot there. That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, don't go into it thinking it's a serious movie. It's a fun movie, and not really good by any means, but a fun movie, and that makes it good in a different way, in my opinion.
Definitely, or at least to me, it's very enjoyable. And,
Yes.
well, it is enjoyable for a lot of other people, since it is, in fact, a pretty popular movie.
Yep. It at first, I believe it wasn't a huge hit at the cinemas, but it ended up being a
True.
pretty popular cult film, just like films like The Room and stuff like that. But yeah, this is not as bad as The Room, in my opinion. I haven't seen The Room,
Definitely
but by
not.
the clips, it was pretty funny. It had some derpy moments, but that's to be expected, in my opinion.
That is probably what they were going for.
Yeah,
And it definitely succeeded, if you ask me.
yeah. So, wanna jump into the plot?
I honestly wanted to talk about the Kyoto brothers first, because as far as I know, this was their only movie where they were in the lead, since they are actually special effects artists.
Yeah.
And you probably already know of them, or at least their work, since they had roles in stuff like Pee-wee's Big Adventure and even Team America, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I didn't hear from them before this movie, to be honest, but, yeah.
I knew from them because of this movie, but
Yeah.
now I'm familiar with other things that they did, which is pretty cool if you ask me. Like, it's also pretty noticeable that they're special effects artists in this movie, or at least that they worked on it,
Yeah.
because to me the effects look pretty good, or at least
Well,
they do
I
what
mean,
they're supposed to, which I think is funny.
Yeah, I mean, the effects didn't look like amazing or anything, but they did the job. I think the best part of the effects are the clowns themselves, even though they aren't necessarily realistic clowns. They're not supposed to be, I feel like, because at the end of the day, they're
not
alien.
even actual clowns.
No, they're just an alien species that look like clowns and behave like clowns and have all these things that are related to the circus. It's just coincidence, I guess, for this universe. Of course, for us, it's like, they're clowns, but whatever. But the clowns look cool. They look unique. When you see a killer clown from outer space, you know exactly where it is from. And that's pretty cool to have that identity of the clowns. So yeah, but the other effects, like the lightning and whatever, not really that great, I'd say.
It's not,
but
not particularly any good.
But at the
by
other
any
hand,
means.
it's also the 80s, so you can't expect too much. But even for those standards, it's kind of like, But it's good for what it is, and yeah.
It gives it a special feel to me, at least.
Yeah.
The bad effects, I don't know. It's either a hit or miss with those kind of things.
Yeah.
And in this case, it's a hit. For me, of course.
So, the Klowns. The Klowns are from outer space. Yeah. And the film starts with some, I guess, teenagers. They're supposed to be teenagers. But, again, these guys are like 30 or something. They're just laying at the special hook-up spot or whatever. They're just all there.
Top of the world.
The top of the world, yeah. They're like 5 or 6 cars there, and they all have the boyfriends and the girlfriends, and they're going to have the sex or something. Only they don't really, because
it's a PG-13 movie, so they won't have the sex on screen.
Yeah, exactly. And so that happens, and at some point this ice cream truck rolls by with 2 guys which are friends of the main character from back in the day, apparently. Which will come in handy later in the film, but we'll save that for later. They're like, "Oh, you want ice cream?" They're like, "Bro, what the fuck? No, we don't want ice cream. You know how late it is? It's probably like 11 o'clock or something." It's really late at that point. It was already dark. Why are they selling ice cream at that time? No one knows, but it doesn't matter. So they get booed off, quite literally, and they go away. And it is at this point where they see a shooting star. And not just a shooting star, it's the killer clowns from outer space. So, they follow it, of course, because it's close, it's nearby.
As you do.
Yeah, of course. And at this point, the film cuts to this older man character. And this older man character is pretty interesting, as a pretty funny quote. But he sees it, and it's like, "Oh, something comet or something." Can't remember exactly what he calls it. A specific comment. He thinks it's that, and so he goes there as well. And then he's like, "What's the circus doing here?" Because of course it's the ship of the killer clowns. Oh my god!
And in pure horror fashion, they kill off the dog first.
Yeah, not even on screen. He just yoinked. He's just outside the tent or whatever, and there's just a circle in there, and the killer clown just yoinks him with a net. You don't even see him die.
But honestly, I prefer it that way. Always kind of sad.
Yeah, and then the man is like, "Where's my dog?" And then he punches the tent at first, and the tent is of a very strong material, apparently, because it hurts his hand. And then he grabs one of these support, I guess, ropes they should be, but they're not. They're like electricity things. I'm not sure. So he grabs it and he's like, and then he has the awesome quote, "What in tarnation?" I thought it was pretty funny. And then did we see what happened to him? Did he just get eaten or?
You see him later on hanging in a cocoon, one of those cotton candy cocoons.
Yeah, okay.
Which confirms that he didn't make it.
Oof, yeah.
But also, there's this scene where you initially see him get got. It's also the first appearance of a killer clown on screen.
Yeah.
I think it's Rudy, the one you see first.
I have no idea. I know like 4 clowns.
If I remember correctly, that's him.
I don't know, if you say so. I guess. So yeah, and a little while later, the 2 teens arrive at the tent, and they go inside, of course, because why would you not do that? I guess just explore the tent, and it is there where they find these little. At first, they walk into a room where they find like an orb or something, or like this electricity ball thing. I can't remember the name for it, but they don't really care about it, and they go back and they go into another room, and there are the cotton candy cocoons in which people are stored, which they go and eat later.
And of course, Mike, the main character, or the boyfriend, thinks it's a cotton candy factory, because that makes sense. A random cotton candy factory in the middle of the fucking forest.
This main character is pretty strange. Like, he seems kind of like smart, but then he does shit like this. Like, what? Like, oh, this is where they must store the cotton candy. Like, no, bro, what? Did you ever stand in front of like a little kiosk of fucking cotton candy and you didn't see them like literally make it right in front of you? Like, what? They don't store cotton candy like that, bro. But it is at this point, I want to point something out. This is what I found out later, is he takes away a piece of this cotton candy in one of the cocoons and you see a face, and this he calls like, oh, this is that guy, and he knows the guy, and apparently that guy was someone that did appear in the film in a different cut. So that's kind of strange that they kept that in, that little line, but sure.
Isn't it the same guy that you see in the very first scene? One of the other guys in the cars?
No, the other guy.
Or did I just assume that?
I guess you assumed it. I don't know. I listened to a short review of someone else, and he said that it was in a different cut, so I'm guessing that's true.
I thought it was another guy. Even later on, you see like the glasses in the other car. I thought that was the guy.
Yeah, but that's a little bit later though, because they must have already stored this guy before they left the top of the world spot. So I don't know.
I don't know, not everything in this movie makes perfect sense. But that's kind of the point, I guess.
Yeah, so they notice this. They notice this face in the cotton candy, and of course they freak out. And it is at this point that the second killer clown appears on screen. And this is probably like the main clown that's on the cover or whatever. At least I think it's the main clown.
That's Rudy, and the one on the cover.
Yeah.
I think that's his name.
With the red hair and the almost sad face or something. Like,
if I'm not mistaken, that's his name. Could be wrong, but...
Oh, well, I don't know. I don't know, you're probably right. And I don't know, for some reason Mike makes a sound because he sees something. And then, oh, we need to leave. And so they leave. And at this point, the killer clown takes out his popcorn shotgun and follows them outside and eventually shoots them with the popcorn. And you're like, bro, it's just popcorn. But that will come back later in the movie, so we'll save that for that. They leave, they grab the car, they ride about 3 clowns over. They drive over, or they hit him with their car. They fall down, they drive off. And, wait, is that here already? Or am I mistaken?
Yeah, that's at the start. Well, not the start, but
yeah,
where we are right now.
Okay, so, and at this point, the clowns stand up because they aren't dead. Because you don't kill them like that. Aren't. So, yeah. And after that... Was it at this point where they had the balloon animal? Or is that a little later?
Yeah, they first chased, like, with the balloon dog. That's where they get run over right after.
Okay, so that's here. Yeah, it's pretty interesting because as a solution, they grab a balloon and they fold it into, like, a dog. And, of course, that works for some reason. And he picks up their trail, and that's when they get run over. Yeah.
So if you ever need to find somebody, just grab a balloon, make a balloon animal.
I'll always
100% works.
Always have the balloons in the back of your pocket if you're going hiking. That's always how you find your way back to a civilization. That's how the clowns did it, at least.
So it's at this point in the movie where we get introduced to another character, 2 characters actually.
Oh my
which
God.
Is Kirk or Curtis. Curtis Mooney, which is an asshole, first of all.
Yeah, welcome to the worst cop of the fucking century.
Well, I wouldn't say that. In horror movies, cops are always useless.
Yeah, but this guy, oh my god, he's
not just useless, he's an asshole as well.
Yeah, we'll get into that later, but at first, he's here, and as we've seen in the first scene of the film, we already know that the police and the youth don't really have a good relationship, because at the beginning of the movie, the cop drives there and it's like, oh, stupid kids, and then the kid is like, oh, fucking cops. So we already know the cops and the kids don't have a very good relationship, especially that cop. So yeah, that's the first cop character. And then the second one, Dave, right?
Yep, the ex-boyfriend of the main girl.
Yep. Debbie.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure. So, Dave and what was his name again? Mooney. I'm not good with names in movies, okay? Especially stupid horror movies. So,
but anyway, they start having a discussion, or rather, an argument about killer clowns, because Dave believes Debbie and Mike, or somewhat believes them.
Yes.
And, well, it sounds pretty fucking stupid if you write it down.
Yeah. So
killer clowns from outer space killing people, turning them into cotton candy, so obviously the cop was going to make fun of him, because that's what you do as a cop.
We're here for the people. So, yeah, at this point, they're like, okay, well, at least check it out. So they bring Debbie home because, of course, the ex-boyfriend and the boyfriend want her safe.
But, I think it's funny because, well, like I said before, Dave and Mooney have an argument, and before they leave, Mooney makes a pretty interesting quote, which is, they can make a dummy out of you, but they won't make a dummy out of me, which later on seems kind of ironic.
Yeah.
If you think about what happened to him.
Oh, yeah. Quite literally, yeah.
Exactly.
But we'll get into that later. So, Debbie gets brought home, and Mike and Dave are going to check out the tent, or the circus, or whatever. And to their surprise, at least Mike's surprise, it's gone. It's just nowhere.
There is a giant crater, but...
yeah, not suspicious at all, apparently. But the tent is gone. So, at this point, Dave, the cop character, is like, oh, so you were messing around. So you can't mess with the police like that. Get in a handcuffs. So he almost kind of gets arrested. And it's at this point where they drive past the top of the world where they were chilling out earlier. And here Dave sees this truck full of cotton candy. Which Kevin mentioned earlier with the glasses and everything. And then he's like, what the fuck is going on here? And then he's like, oh, you were right. So he's convinced.
They got him. He's dead.
So yeah, Dave at this point is convinced. And Dave at this point communicates to the other cop, the dickhead cop, that it is true and something needs to happen. And the other cop is like, did they convince you to make a fool out of me? So he's like, no, fuck you. I think he quite literally says something like that, like, no, fuck you, or something.
Yeah, Mooney says that to the other guy.
Yeah. So...
which is honestly kind of stupid, and I don't think anyone who says shit like that gets hired. But hey, it's a movie. Who cares?
Worst cop of the century. So...
and he is also pretty full of himself.
Yeah,
He thinks everything's about him, and they really think the whole town
it's kind
is
of
trying to get him, which...
kind of egotistical in a way, if I'm using the right word there. But, oh my god, it's such
he really thinks that it revolves around him. With,
like, why?
Like, everybody, why would random people in your city try to make a fool out of you by saying that there are clowns?
Yeah, it's not even that funny if if it was actually like a prank, but it's not, it's not a prank, so it's so fucking stupid, it's not even funny, but yeah, it's just a stupid cop character. He doesn't help, and it is at this point that they drive back to the town. Is it at this point where Debbie gets almost eaten while she's showering, or is that a little later on?
That's almost the end of the movie, because it's the longest shower ever, and just about her entire appearance in the movie is, well, showering.
Yeah, that could be pretty good, if not PG-13, but it's PG-13. So, then what? There are a couple scenes that are kind of like almost happening at the same time, I feel like. But the main thing that's happening right now in the movie is that the clowns are infiltrating the city. So there are a bunch of people who get captured by the clowns and do the cotton candy things, and there's a little almost like compilation in a way where that's happening to everyone, only it's a little bit longer scenes for each of them, like the pizza or the
pretty funny gags, just short gags with the invisible bike and stuff.
Yeah, the invisible bike ends up in a car crash. The clowns are delivering pizza, and then the pizza box is open and Shorty comes out, and then there's
not
also
to forget one of my favorite of all time scenes in movies.
Oh my god, yeah. I think I know where you're going. Go ahead.
Of course you know where I'm going.
Yes.
With the whole biker gang and Shorty.
Yes.
It just has everything you want.
Yes.
In a horror comedy.
Yes.
Because it has that perfect mix of joking around and creepiness and everything.
Yes.
And of course, a very quotable quote.
Yes. To get into the scene, let's do it. So Shorty, the little clown, drives on his little bicycle to a biker gang, and the main guy of this biker gang is like, "Oh, can I ride your bike?" And then Shorty's like, "No." "Can I toot the horn?" And then he's like, "Yeah, you could do that." So he for some reason grabs the entire fucking bike and destroys it in front of Shorty. If you don't know already, Shorty, of course, one of the killer clowns, just to make it clear. And then fuck, the guy says, "Oh, it seems I have broken your bike." And then some other guy in the background says, "You should have let the mayor ride his bike." And then Shorty just jumps out of the screen and nobody knows where he is for a second. Then he comes back with
he's ready for his YouTube fight.
Yeah, he's ready for his fight with KSI. He's practicing. Called Keemstar, because this needs to be on the news. But so here is where the most iconic quote of the entire movie, I feel like, comes from. And you wanna take the honors?
Go ahead.
Okay. He says, "Oh, what you gonna do? Knock my block off." And then Shorty proceeds to do exactly that. He punches him in the face and his head just flies off.
Into the dumpster.
You hear this lady in the background like, "Ah," which is pretty, like, way louder than the rest of the movie for some reason. Like, what the fuck?
And then 20 people ran away from this one small clown.
Yeah. So that's one of the scenes that happened. Probably my favorite scene of the movie. Then, of course, there are a bunch of other shots like this. There's one with a little puppet show, in which one guy ends up becoming a cocoon. Is there another one? I think I'm forgetting one, but
you mentioned the pizza one, but there's also like the chocolate one with the, I would say, kind of fourth wall breaking scene, where the woman just turns around and looks into the camera.
Yeah, that was kind of strange.
Well, the entire movie is pretty fucking strange, so.
Yeah. So yeah, those scenes are just there to make sure you know that the town's getting infiltrated pretty badly with these clowns. And of course, for some reason, the dickhead cop still doesn't believe anybody.
Yeah, like, you have multiple scenes of him, like, ignoring phone calls and stuff.
Yeah.
You even get to see, like, one happening in real time with the store owner.
Oh yeah,
Kind of
yeah,
forget his
yeah.
name. I'm pretty sure it's Mr. Myers, which
Oh,
is
cool reference.
probably a reference.
Yeah.
I would assume.
Yeah, because that scene was also pretty funny. It's just at first one clown just going into the store and just destroying everything, and then I believe there are multiple clowns that come in later.
Yeah, you have another
There
funny
is-
scene with
there
like
is another.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, you have the other funny scene with one of the clowns spraying. I don't know what it is. Pretty sure it's like hair gel or not hair gel, hair. I don't know
It's
what it's
kind of
called
like
in English.
almost like silly string-ish something. He sprays it into
Yeah.
the face of the other clown, and then he falls
No, I
over.
thought it was kind of funny.
Yeah. So yeah.
So yeah, the store owner does not make it.
Yeah. So as this all is happening, Mike and Dave are driving back into the city. I believe that's this point, and Dave's like, "Oh, I could take the bus from here," and he's like, "Bro, what? There are clowns running around. You're going nowhere, dude, and you've seen them. Like, what? You just wanted to go home, dude. I don't know what he wanted to do." So they see this clown. He's like, "Oh, clown right there!" And he is making these.
And Mike almost crashes the car, which he does multiple times throughout the movie.
Yeah, but this clown is like making hand shadow figures on the wall, and people are like, "Oh, pretty cool, pretty cool." And here's a strange thing that happened. At some point, it becomes a T-Rex, and the shadow T-Rex eats all the people sitting there, because that makes any sense. And then he puts them into cocoons, I believe, right?
Well,
Or
you
in
don't
his
actually
bag.
see that happening. You can only assume it happens. Assume it happens.
Yeah. So yeah, and then they're like, "Oh my god, clown, quick, run him over!" So he tries to run him over, but right
Yeah,
into
and
the
then
wall.
he drives into the wall.
And he jumps up and he's just gone. And they look up like, "Where'd he go?" "I don't know, he's gone. He jumped straight up." So dumb. Oh, fuck. So, at this point, I believe they do split up.
Yeah, Mike goes with the Renzi brothers
Yes.
in the ice cream truck, attempting to try and.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Dave goes to the police station and Mike tries to like get the ice cream truck guys
with
to.
another kind of funny scene.
Yeah.
with
It's
the-
like, can you
Debbie's
drive me?
roommates.
Can you drive me to Debbie? So, why? What did it for us? Oh, there are killer clowns everywhere. Killer clowns, bruh. And
It's
then
kind of funny how they try to, or at least they seem to think that Mike is stupid with
yeah, but then Mike is like, oh, she has two beautiful roommates with big boobs, and I don't know if he said something else, and then they're like, oh, okay, we'll bring you to Debbie. That's fine. So they do that. Of course, they don't. That doesn't work exactly. Because I believe it is at this point that Debbie is under the shower, or not anymore actually. She's done showering for like, I don't know, maybe like 7 hours or something. She was under the shower, I feel like. And then the popcorn shotgun from the beginning, the popcorn of that is actually transforming or evolving into these clown plant things. And she gets attacked in the bathroom, and she gets away. I feel like this scene could have been.
No, she did get away.
Yes,
but
from this.
not for long.
Yeah. And I feel like this scene in the bathroom wasn't done that silly. I mean, she had a pretty decent way of getting out of it, like grabbing the curtain of the shower curtain and throwing it onto these plants to get by. I feel like that's a pretty alright way of getting out of there. I feel like they could have done a lot of stupid things there, like, oh, she tripped over this, and it's classic slasher shit. So that was pretty cool. So it's at this point she hears Mike at the door. Oh my god, Mike's at the door. So she opens the door and it's not Mike, it's just a prank. It's a
I
clown.
really wanted to do that.
It was the clown Slim, and she's like, "Oh my god!" So she shuts the door in front of him. She wants to jump out of the window, and then there are just like 5 clowns with a little catching trampoline thing, just like, "Oh, come on, jump down!" And then Slim found his way inside. I don't know. Maybe she didn't close the door completely. I don't know. But he's inside. So yeah.
And then they transform her into this special cocoon, which I never really understood why exactly they did that for any other reason than plot armor.
Yeah, it's pretty weird. They put her inside this balloon instead of the cocoon things. I don't know why. I saw comments on a review somewhere that the theory was like to breed her to get food later or something like that. But we can only just speculate on that.
If anything, it's just because they didn't want to kill her off, and
yeah,
that's the only thing they could think of.
Yeah. So the clowns drive off in front of Mike and the ice cream boys, who are just arriving. So they follow them, and then Dave is like, "Wait, they're here!" And then he follows them as well. And I feel like I kind of skipped over it, but I think at this point the dummy scene has already been done. Or is
It was because Dave was trying to get help, of course, and he walked in on a surprisingly creepy scene.
Yeah, well, there's a bit of. I feel like we forgot because there's
Honestly,
point
the
before
entire
this. Because
moments with Mooney, his interactions with the clown are pretty creepy.
Yeah.
Well, they're pretty funny in the beginning with the whole
let's
handcuffs jokes.
Let's cover those 2 scenes entirely real quick. Like the dickhead cop Mooney is on the station, on the police station, and then this killer clown walks in and he's like, "Holy shit. How far are they going with this joke?" Like, as if it's still a joke, And he just puts him in the jail cell. Doesn't work out that well for him because the clown grabs him with like a what do you call it? This whistle thing, and he knocks him out against the metal bars of the prison cell, or not prison, the jail cell, and then the other 2 jail people are like, "Oh,
jail people."
Yeah, prisoners, I guess. No, not
inmates.
Really. Inmates, yeah.
Well, they're not even inmates because they're just random punks.
Yeah.
They didn't have any sentence.
But they're like, "Oh, so
what are you in for?"
Yeah. And then he just turns to them and then cuts away, and you can probably imagine what happened to them. You're right. Cocoons.
Yeah, that's yeah.
So
but then
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Dave walks in a few scenes later, and one of the creepiest scenes, if not the creepiest scene in the movie, happens.
Yes.
And they did, in fact, make a dummy out of him.
Yeah,
as he said,
first,
wasn't going to happen.
At first, Dave walks in and sees all these prints on the floor. They're not really footprints, I feel like, because they were also on the wall and stuff. I don't know what the clown has been doing there, but he at first walks into the jail area and sees the other guys like, "Oh, they're cocoons out, the fuck." Then he walks back into like the office section of the police station, and he sees Mooney sitting there with a clown next to him, and then this is probably the creepiest part of the entire movie, like you said, because here you can see the clown sitting with Mooney as an actual like hand puppet. In a way, he has his hand actually inside him, and he says something along the lines of, "Don't worry, Dave. We just want to kill you." And then the clown takes his hand out of him, and he just falls down. He's like, "Oh, my hand's dirty now," which I thought was pretty funny. So at this point, the clown walks at Dave, and Dave has a shotgun, I believe, or a pistol at this point, and he starts shooting him into his belly area, his fupa, if you will. And he doesn't die, he barely flinches at all. So it's like, "Oh, what the fuck?" So at one point he shoots at his nose, and the nose pops, and he dies. So now we know the weak point of the killer clowns.
The nose.
The nose. I mean, I think that was a pretty creative decision because that's a big part of a clown, like the big red nose. I feel like they made pretty cool use out of that. I think it makes sense.
It does make sense, but at the same time, why would they have such an obvious part exposed if they know that it's their weak point?
I don't know.
Since it is shown that they are, in fact, at least a little bit intelligent.
I guess, yeah.
With the whole... they can communicate, at least.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's not the point. It's a comedy movie. Don't get into the details.
They're clowns. They're killer clowns.
They're clowns. It's funny. Their noses are weak points.
So yeah, at this point, I believe Dave realizes the existence of Debbie and is like, Debbie! And he goes into his police car and drives to Debbie and sees that Mike and the two ice cream boys are driving after this clown vehicle, so he follows them as well. So it's a three-way chase scene in a way. And they meet up or something, and they're like, "Oh, where could they be going?" Or was there a crash here?
Yeah, there was another crash.
Yeah.
The brothers, one of them said to stop the car, and he did in the middle of the road.
So the police car just crashed into the back of it. Oh my god. So stupid. And then they're like, okay, we have to...
There are definitely two interesting characters.
Yeah.
But they're the best and the worst part of this movie.
Yeah, I'm kind of more leaning towards the worst, to be honest.
I think they're funny. They have some pretty funny scenes. Come on.
I guess. But at this point, they're like, oh no, we lost them. Oh no. And then they're like, oh, I know where they are. And I can't remember who exactly said that. And it's like, oh, where are they?
If you were a clown, where would you be going?
Yeah, and then it's like, oh
the
my
amusement park.
Oh, that's so convenient. Like, a very convenient part. Like, okay, makes sense, I guess. Little simple, but sure. So they go there into the... oh, no. It's right there where you see this scene of the killer clowns arriving at the amusement park, and you see this one guard. This entire amusement park is guarded by only one guard. And, of course, this tiny car, and multiple clowns step out, like 5 or 4 of them. And
Another clown gag.
Yeah, and then they grab pies, and then the guard...
What are you gonna do with those pies, boys?
Yeah, and of course they...
Which is kind of funny, kind of creepy, kind of horrifying, honestly.
Yeah, it's kind of strange.
Because at first it's funny, they throw pies at his face, but then he just starts to melt.
Yeah, he melts it out, and then they're like, okay, that's done. So they walk into the circus thing. And
at least Shorty has the decency to put a cherry on top.
Yeah, literally, by the way.
Yeah.
He puts this giant cherry on top of it. And so they go inside. We don't know exactly what they do now, but...
probably eat.
Probably. So at this point, the 4 main boys that are left, they arrive and they see this pile of pie. And then they're like, oh, there's pie. And one of them grabs a piece with his hand. And they're like, no, it's dangerous. And he points at the arm, the skeleton arm. At this point, he melts pretty quick. Like, it must have been like a couple minutes, actually. Or I don't know, 15-minute stops. Something like that.
Yeah, the bones were in perfect condition.
Yeah.
Just all the skin was gone.
Yeah, as if they were preserved real nice. As if they were plastic, perhaps. But... So they go inside as well, and they're like, okay, guys, we have to stay together. And they turn around, and those 2 ice cream boys fall into the floor. And then they turn around
like... They meet up with Debbie's roommates.
Oh, my God. Why didn't you tell about them? Oh, my God.
But it's also an interesting scene with especially for a PG-13 movie. Yeah, with the inflatable breasts.
Yeah, it's pretty stupid. You see these 2 clowns one of which has inflatable breasts, and they of course inflate, and they're like, "Are you Debbie's roommates?"
Come on, it's funny.
No, man, that was fucking stupid. Holy shit. No, that wasn't funny at all. Oh my god. And it kind of surprises me that the clowns apparently went along with this, because they end up coming back.
They didn't went along with this. They made up the rules. I don't think they really had a choice.
Well, I guess they enjoyed it, so good for them. So yeah, the other two at this point are like, "Oh, they're gone." And they're like, "Oh, they're just those brothers. They do whatever. They do this all the time, as if it's very normal. Like in this specific situation, like, bruh." So now we pretty much only have
Mike and Dave, and Debbie is there too, by the way. You said earlier with the four main boys, but Debbie's there as well.
Debbie's in the balloon at this point still, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. They retrieve her, of course.
Yeah. So
that's the plan.
Yeah. So they end up kind of doing that. They find the balloon and are like, "Oh, what color was the balloon? Oh, it was yellow." So they go to the yellow balloon. At first,
and from the at least 100 people, she used one alive.
Of course, yeah. I mean, plot armor. So they get her out of the balloon.
They do the first thing they can think of and straight up shoot it.
Yeah. Get out of the way. But I feel like they didn't do it that randomly, because Mike is like, "Oh, no, what if you hit her?" And I was like, "Oh, no, just stand aside." And, I mean, they kind of bickered about it for a little bit, so it wasn't just all out of the blue. But yeah, still kind of stupid.
And then every single clown in the ship.
No, not yet, right? They first see one clown coming in, and he just puts his very extravagant straw into one of these cocoons and starts drinking out of it. So that's right there confirms that they are capturing the people to eat them. I mean, cool that they confirmed it. Of course, everyone assumed it, but yeah. So kind of strange that they put Debbie in the balloon, but I don't know. Maybe they have like a personal vendetta against her because she found them in the first place and got away.
No, the very first guy, she did get away.
Yeah.
That's the very first guy who found them didn't make it.
Sadly.
That's for sure.
So, this happens, and I don't know what happens here. I believe he makes a sound, and then all of the clowns...
They try to get away in the elevator, and then... well, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Well, it does kind of work. They have the whole pole scene where they go down the pole and there's this random creature. And then they shoot a few clowns.
In the nose, because I know that's the weak point now. So that happens.
Then they just get... there's a few funny gags with the doors and stuff.
Yeah, I was
another door, another door.
But he says, he keeps saying it, and it's in the same tone, almost like, "Oh, there's a door here. Another door. Another door. Another door." He keeps going for like, I don't know, like 10 doors or something. And then they go through, and then they end up in this big area with like a... I don't know, just this big main area, I feel like, and all these clowns are ganging up on them, and they stand on top of this little thing made of blocks or something. And at this point, the ice cream boys are still alive, boy! And they drive through the tent, which all of a sudden isn't made of that good material anymore. And they're like, "Okay, all you clowns need to listen to me. We are JoJo the God Clown," or whatever. They say JoJo's...
Clownzilla.
They say JoJo specifically because I feel like that's actually the name of the thing that's happening next. Because at this point, all the clowns are like almost paralyzed, like, "Oh, what, stunned." So they get down and they move towards the ice cream truck. And then at this point, motherfucking Clownzilla appears, and it's not a joke. It's actually like this big ass reptile clown looking thing comes down, and they're like, "No, what are you trying to do? take my throne or something. Maybe he sees the ice cream truck as competitors for the throne or something. So they have a bit of a battle.
Well, the clown has a bit of a battle with the truck. He just stomps it and destroys it.
Yeah.
Where you'd imagine the brothers would be dead, but in pure horror comedy fashion.
Oh my god, yeah, they end
not.
up alive. Oh my god. But yeah, at this point, Dave is the only one left with the big clown, and the rest are fleeing. I don't know where the other clowns were at this point, because
they walked away when the Clownzilla appeared. I don't know why. Maybe they're afraid of him.
Seems kind of convenient for the main characters, but sure.
Yeah, of course, but... Yeah.
But yeah, then they flee, of course, and then they are looking from a distance at it, and Dave is fighting with the big Clownzilla, and he shoots the nose, and he dies. And
he doesn't shoot the nose, though.
He did, right?
No, he runs out of ammo, and the clown grabs him, and he uses his police badge, and he pops it, and everything just fucking explodes.
Yeah, and this part wasn't built up at all. It was kind of weird, because apparently Clownzilla is the entire core of the ship, in a way. When he dies, the ship explodes, which is kind of strange. So, presumably, at this moment, the two brothers and Dave are dead, and it's only Mike and Debbie. And I feel like it would have been a little bit better if they kept it that way. Like, a heroic sacrifice from Dave, and two stupid characters died. But no, of course not. At first, the clown ship landed. Or not the ship, the car landed, and Dave comes out. It's like, oh, I survived. It's like, oh, okay. Well, you kind of deserve to live. And then the ice cream truck came down, and it's like, oh, you two are alive as well. That's kind of stupid. You should have stayed on the ship, boys.
But, of course they live. They hid in the freezer with the ice cream.
Yeah, oh my god. And then they start to bicker like, this was your idea. No, this was your idea.
For the fifth time.
Yeah, it's exactly the same. It all ends with, you said we could get girls this way. And at that point it's like, oh my god. And of course the entire police force is there at that specific moment to see it, so they don't get in trouble.
It would have been funny if they would all just shoot. Like Dave heroically comes out of the car. Yeah, I killed him, and they just fucking shoot him.
Yeah, and then there's a moment like, oh, it's all over now. Are they gone? And then they get pied in the face. So
imagine if they would all just melt.
yeah, that's what I was wondering. Like, why aren't they melting? But so that's kind of like a cliffhanger, I guess. Like, are they still alive? Are they not? It's not really.
I think it's just a supposedly funny gag to end the video or the movie.
I don't know.
I don't think anything like that was, well, planned to be like, oh, did they die?
I don't know. It was kind of strange. It could be like a setup for a potential second one, even though I would have done it differently, and there is no second one, so I guess we'll never know. But let's talk about a potential second one, though, because
it is definitely still a possibility since, well, they claimed that there would be a second one.
Yes, there is.
And as far as I know, it's been in development hell for a few years now.
I recently found, after watching the movie, like a Return of the Killer Klowns from Outer Space in 3D movie title, but I don't know if it's real. I believe so. It was on this wiki page, not the official wiki, but this fandom wiki thing. So I'm not sure if it's real, but it looked kind of alright. I don't know. If I would do a sequel, I would do like something along the lines of the home planet of the clowns are now aware of Earth, and this whole war starts with the killer clowns and Earth, because these aren't all the clowns. I feel like this was just one ship. You know, how many clowns are out there?
I feel like that if they do something like that, they shouldn't over-explain it too much. Like, it's supposed to be like this very simple movie. If they give everything like too much of a background, it kind of loses its magic.
Yeah,
if you ask
true.
me.
But I also kind of now want to know more lore and stuff about these clowns because it is an alien race and I like aliens. So, yeah. But
I feel
yeah,
like I hope that if they decide to eventually do another one of these, it's not just going to be the exact same thing with different characters like many other sequels
yeah.
are.
And I feel like
To be honest, at this point, I feel like that if they would decide to pick up this franchise again, or make a franchise out of it, that it would be like another remake.
yeah, I feel like I almost feel like that if they were to continue this franchise, that they wouldn't capture the same magic, like you said. Like, I don't know. I don't
feel
think
like
it would
if
feel
they
the
would
same.
do it now, it would not only not feel the same, but it would also probably be filled with like stupid and unneeded CGI.
Yeah, maybe it would even take itself way too seriously. Like, oh my god, I can't imagine. Almost like the new It films. But yeah, I don't know. I guess, of course, if it comes out ever, I'll watch it. But my hopes aren't that high.
Definitely.
So
I would like to see more, but at the same time, I don't.
yeah,
Because I'm afraid that I will be heavily disappointed.
exactly that. Yeah. So I guess that kind of. I don't know. Did you have anything more to say, or do you want to go into ratings?
At this point, I think we've covered everything we
Yeah.
needed to cover. Maybe the soundtrack, because I love the soundtrack of this movie.
Yeah. I
Especially the intro song.
Yeah, it was like pretty funny because I wanted to start off this review with like the little intro, like I played on guitar, like, oh, today we're gonna do that, but I don't feel like I can play it well enough to do that. I can play the little intro bit, and I guess it would have been enough, but I don't know. Didn't end up doing it. Oh well. But the soundtrack is fun. It's very fitting. Yeah.
Definitely.
So, what would you rate the movie in the end?
That's a tough one. I would like to rate it very high, but at the same time, I'm very aware that it's not that good, despite it being one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah, I get that.
So I will still give it an 8 out of 10.
An 8. Oof.
Definitely.
Oh, wow.
Even higher than, I think, almost every movie we've covered so far. But like I said, it still will be it will always probably be one of my favorites.
Yeah. For me, it will probably get like a 7 maybe. Maybe 7.5, keeping in mind that it is such a derpy movie. Of course, if I were to give this like a serious rating, like taking the movie very seriously and stuff, of course it will be way lower. But keeping in mind that it is such a cold, derpy, memey film, a 7.5, something. Let's say 7.3 to keep it to having a definite rating.
I feel like enjoyment is like the main factor when you rate this movie because, well, it's not good and it's not supposed to be. You shouldn't take it too seriously.
Yeah, it doesn't really have a very intense story arc or whatever. It just, the title says enough, I feel like, if you're gonna watch the movie.
It's exactly what you want to see.
Yeah.
When you think about a title like
So
Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
So yeah, for my recommendation, like if you look at the title and the cover of the film, you're like, it's kind of stupid. I don't really like it. Don't watch it. You're not gonna like it. But if you're like, oh, this looks very wacky and stupid, let's go watch it. Like this movie is the embodiment of judge a book by its cover. Like that's exactly what it is. I feel like.
I feel like if you are, in fact, a fan of older slasher movies, then you should definitely give this movie a chance at least.
It's definitely a classic.
Because it does have, like, I would say similar comedy scenes to what older slashers would have.
Yeah, in a way. But yeah.
It also has that, like, that old school derpy, but yet creepy kind of vibe to it. I don't really know how to explain it.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
But I feel like you can kind of understand what I mean.
Yeah.
With
definitely.
In our earlier covered movies like Nightmare on Elm Street, it's
It kind of has that as
definitely there.
Yeah.
The whole kind of funny.
Kind of dirty.
Because I feel like scenes like that back in the day would be conceived as very scary.
Yeah. I feel like this film as well in a way. But before we go on for too long, because we've been recording for quite a bit of time right now.
Definitely. Including a lot of failed intro attempts, but
this is definitely our longest episode, so thanks for watching our longest episode yet of the reviews. If you enjoyed it,
if
leave
you
a
surprisingly
like.
made it this far,
Yeah.
you probably did enjoy it, so
Yeah.
thank you for watching.
And leave a comment with some movies you'd like to see us review, or maybe some smaller topics you'd like to see us discuss, like our last video of the Jurassic series. And also don't forget to check out our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We've been posting a bunch on there, especially on Instagram. There's a new post on there right now. And leave a like if you enjoyed it. Share it. I don't know. Hope you liked it. And if you didn't, too bad. So I guess we'll see you later. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
And don't forget, what you gonna do with those pies, boys?